So he just got
I see him. He's
Georgetown.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, neurologist.
No, which one? Who's the
Tyler,
younger?
the eldest.
Oh, the older. Oh.
Okay.
Oh.
Does he have a PhD and an MD?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Wow.
No problem.
Yes.
They got a lot of kids.
They're five.
Spell either of those two things.
Two more than you, two more than me.
Yeah.
That's a lot. Right?
I'm gonna need this for a minute.
I didn't see her for
Hi, Fred.
years. You know that?
Yeah.
All right, thank you. 10 seconds. Can you please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening. Tonight is Tuesday, March 25th. It's, more than a little after 7:30. I apologize for the late start. We just came from executive session where we were discussing boards, commissions, and committees. Before we get into the regular agenda for this meeting, we do have something special that we'd like to do. We are lucky to have a new police officer, Avery Tompkins, starting with us tomorrow, which we're very excited about. Now, we had already approved, or what's the official wording on this? But
We
had already
approved the
passed-
appointment subject to certain conditions, which have now all been met.
But now that these conditions have been met, we'd like to do a little bit of a swearing in.
Yes. So we'd like to have you come up and take the oath of office. And Mr. Tompkins comes from the New York NYPD, and where he lives in Yorktown, New York, and we welcome him to Rybrook.
So we're very much. We're very excited to have you. So if you would, let's see, make sure we have the right one. So, don't mind raising your hand and repeat after me. I, state your name,
I, Avery Tompkins,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support
that I will support
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
the Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge
and I will faithfully discharge
the duties of police officer
the duties of police officer
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability. Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Oh, a lefty.
Lefty, I just know.
How
How are you? Nice to meet you. Congratulations.
Aw.
Congratulations.
Should we let him take a picture here?
Anyone else?
Everyone here is for him. I got a bunch of them.
Come on up. Come on up.
Take a picture.
It's okay, it's a big day. Welcome to Rybrook.
Thank you very much.
Whose team is gonna be on? Does he want a picture with this in the background?
That's okay.
You can go in front. We really should rethink this and have something over there.
Hmm?
We should rethink this.
Yeah, we always end up doing the pictures there.
Yeah,
We need to find a better spot
exactly. Thank
for
you.
the pictures.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Even if we have it in the back, you know, the same thing, we always should have it.
Or just a sign that we can unfurl.
Yeah.
No, unfortunately.
I switched over. Congratulations.
And I would just say, congratulations. We're always, very proud of our police force here in Rybrook. We're not a huge community, but we're a great community to work in. And one of the things that, and since there's new people in the room, they haven't heard me say this 1,000 times, but we're always proud that our police force is a true community police force, and represents what we really like about Rybrook. And you'll find that the chief is a great person to work with. We've got really professional staff that's high on training, and our job on the board here is to support the force, to make sure that you have the resources that you need to get your job done. And so welcome to Rybrook. We're really proud to have you here.
And I will say, some of the things that really impressed us with Mr. Tompkins is some of his background and dedication to his community and the community, and living in Westchester. He has experience with Empress EMS, right, and also Cortland the rowing in Cortland. You're head coach, or
The head coach there.
yep, head coach there, and really gives back to the community. So it really impressed us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
For this opportunity.
Thank you and good
Thank
luck.
you.
Thank you. And of course, you're all welcome to stay for our thrilling meeting, but there's certainly no requirement. All right, so moving into our resolutions. Resolution number 1, considering an exemption extension, I can say that properly, of Chapter 158, Section 2.1 of the Village Code regarding a seasonal leaf blower ban for 975 Anderson Hill Road.
Okay, whereas on April 11th, 2023, the Board of Trustees approved a local law enacting a seasonal gas-powered leaf blower ban from May 1st to September 30th, and that became effective on May 1st, 2024. And whereas under the Village Code, properties of at least 5 acres of property can apply to the Village Board for a full or partial exemption of this local law. And whereas the application has been distributed to known properties and also through the website, and also whereas the Village Board of Trustees approved a request for an exemption of Chapter 158 of the Village Code, enacting the leaf ban for Anderson Hill Road in the past. We did that in April of last year. And whereas a 1-year exemption was granted by the Board of Trustees on October 1st, 2024, and whereas on January 7th, 2025, representatives of 975 Anderson Hill Road submitted an application for a further exemption from the requirements of the local law requiring a seasonal ban on gas-powered leaf blowers. Now therefore be resolved that after consideration of the intent of the local law, as well as considerations raised in the application by the applicant, the Board of Trustees hereby either denies, approves, or approves with conditions the request for the exemption of the Village Code enacting a seasonal leaf blower ban.
Thank you, Chris. And typical with these, we're going to hold off on any motion and second till we have reached a decision. Now, I saw, and again, you mentioned that there were some restrictions on the exemption that we passed last year, and I know things have changed at 975 Anderson Hill Road since last year. So I know we have representation from the property owner, so please.
And if you don't, okay, let me, maybe I can read those exemptions.
Please.
So the exemptions last year said that during the seasonal ban period, only battery-powered leaf blowers will be used within 50 feet of any residences. 2, that during the seasonal ban period, all areas outside of the residences, the gas-powered leaf blowers will be used only at partial throttle beyond the 50-foot area specified in item number 1. And 3, that it was granted through September 30th of last year.
All right.
So good evening, Mayor, members of the board, staff. So Brad Schwartz from Zarin and Steinmetz. We are here tonight on behalf of Cohen Purchase Building Company, LLC. It is the same corporate entity that owns the property, but as everyone's aware, Fortress has acquired the assets to the LLC. So while the name Cohen is still, right, it's still part of the LLC, but Fortress owns that corporate entity. So we are here on behalf of that LLC. And I appreciate, Chris, you reading the conditions that were granted last year. We're here asking for the same approval with the same conditions. Dom, if from Dom's Landscaping is here tonight. Everything worked out perfectly, and we're not seeking anything differently. We're just asking for one more year.
So I have a question, because if I remember correctly, last year, I think the building was still standing.
It was at that time. It's no, yeah, the building is no longer there.
The building's no longer there. I'm just curious, I mean, I don't know if any of the other hardened structures have been removed around the building. I'm just curious what is still being blown during, like, the mowing season.
Or is there growth?
Hi, Dominic Briganti, Dom's Landscaping. Yeah, so, good to see everybody again. So the old golf course, is still in place with the walking paths for the residents of the condominium. So why they had to keep the maintenance up, because then the people couldn't walk through those walking paths. And it kind of borders the properties to keep those areas clean. So when they look out through the back of their windows, they have something that looks somewhat maintained.
Okay, so mowing is occurring on the old golf course.
We're trying to do it every 2 weeks. Every 2 weeks. Then the fire hydrants, for the fire department wanted those things to be accessible,
But when you're mowing the old golf course, are you blowing that? I mean,
So what happens is the grass clippings get onto the pathways.
so you're just doing the pathways.
Pathways are majority, and then, it borders the parking lots.
On the golf course. Any questions or comments? I mean, I'm just trying to get
That's an
some
agreement
clarity.
between the complex and
Between Doral and.
Brown and with maintaining that. to keep
It's verbal, but it's not in writing. It's not a written
Some
agreement.
sort of agreement you guys
But
get.
Fortress is still honoring the prior commitments.
Okay.
The spring cleanup is about to start
Yes.
next month. We did the fall cleanup in the fall.
Okay.
Continue to maintain, so that
Okay.
way.
So you're
Okay.
mowing the whole area, or you're just maintaining the pathways? It's not clear to me.
No, there's large areas of grass that
So
You're just letting that grow.
maybe I can clarify a
wild.
little bit.
Yeah, please, Chris.
So we do have a property maintenance code, and there's a different state code for maintaining what they call an abandoned property, which is less maintenance than a manicured lawn. And if you remember, there was some issues with the prior owners where there was some disagreement about there was some concerns about how it was being maintained, and the residents wanted to maintain to a certain level, and the owner wanted to maintain to another level. So if you recall, the village stepped in and facilitated a discussion with both parties, and we were able to come up with a written agreement, we'll call it for the sake of argument, but basically a written terms that basically said the owner agrees to maintain it that way, and the residents agreed to also say that that's acceptable.
And we're fulfilling that.
Yep.
Fortress is, yeah.
they're pretty involved, the people there.
So in other words, they are mowing every 2 weeks? Is that what-
That was generally.
Depends on the season a little bit, but yeah,
the
I mean,
weather,
generally.
So do we have a
It's over a
mechanism
certain
to
height.
ensure, like if we get complaints from the Arrowwood residents?
We do it now, sure. Building department.
Yeah.
It's a
we've-
property
we've
maintenance
had-
issue. The building inspector is aware of the conditions that we've all agreed to, so if they exceed, we have a copy of those terms. And if it varies from those terms, then we contact the owner and have a discussion with about that.
Fortress is in regular
Yeah.
communication with the HOA, and I'm still in regular communication with the HOA's attorney. So the dialogue is all on.
Yeah, it's working right. It's worked well so
No,
far.
I'm glad to hear that. I just want to be mindful because we are still in a drought period, and when you have excess brush that is dry, it is a fire hazard. So I want to be mindful of that.
So, and just as a question, so you've been using the battery only within 50 feet of the residences, you've been throttling down, how's that been working?
Works well. Everything's worked out. Last year, everybody seemed pretty happy. They'd come out and talk to the crews that were working. Everything was pretty peaceful.
And the electric's working okay?
We upgraded. This year, they came out with new models, so we're trying to stay with the wave. Hopefully, they get better and better.
What brand are you using?
We use Still and then Greenworks, so two different.
Still, a lot of people are using Still.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The battery life on the Still is still 30 minutes, and the Greenworks has got it up to an hour supposedly. We just purchased them actually this week. But the cost, the units up over $2,000 now. Batteries are $500 a piece.
Do you carry extra batteries?
You have to, yes. Yeah. And then we're based out of Connecticut and in Norwalk, and the town actually now is passing an ordinance that we have to build a concrete structure to house the batteries
Just
for the
to
fire.
protect, right, of course.
So it just keeps compounding all this stuff. But but it costs, the clients more, that's the problem.
Great, well, thank you for doing that.
Any other questions or comments?
No.
All right, then maybe, Chris, 1 year with the same restrictions?
Yes.
That sound okay?
That seems to be what we're doing these
Yeah,
days.
I know it does. Do I have a motion?
Second.
No, I know, I need a motion.
Second.
Now, Sal. Any other questions or comments?
No. Trustee Epstein?
Yes.
Trustee Heiser?
Yes.
Trustee Morlino?
Yes.
And Mayor Klein?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Appreciate it. Greg, thanks for your help.
Is there any, we couldn't get an update from them.
All right. Why is this loading? It's taking a while for me to load here.
I can take care of it. You want me to do it?
Resolution number 2, I'll just read it off the agenda, but resolution number 2, considering exemption extension of chapter 158, section 2.1 of the village code regarding a seasonal leaf blower ban for CPW.
Okay, whereas, I'm going to summarize a little bit shorter this time because it's
Please.
really the same preamble. So whereas the village enacted a code with a seasonal leaf blower ban from May 1st to September 30th, and whereas properties over 5 acres can ask for an extension or exemption, whereas the board approved an exemption last year, and an exemption, approved a request on March 26, 2024, and whereas on March 16th of 2025, representatives of cerebral palsy of Westchester submitted an application for further exemption from the requirements of the local law requiring a seasonal ban on gas-powered leaf blowers. Now therefore be resolved that after consideration of the intent of the local law, as well as considerations raised by the applicant from the representatives of cerebral palsy of Westchester, the Board of Trustees hereby either approves, denies, or approves with conditions the request for an exemption in the village code enacting a seasonal leaf blower ban for that property.
Thank you, Chris. Again, we'll hold off on motion and second here. We have a representative, please.
Good evening. I hope you guys remember me from last year. I was last year as well, so. We're just looking for the same as we had last year. We were using the electric blower for the residential part of cerebral palsy and the gas powered for more of the commercial side. Because
Right.
the area is much larger. The batteries for, like you've just heard, the batteries don't last that long. They don't have the power as the gas-powered blowers do. But we do try to limit it, especially in the summertime when it's dry out and when there's not as, we don't blow the lawns because we mulch now as well with the mowers, so. But,
So are you only doing the hardscaped areas now?
correct.
And the one condition last year was not to use the gas-powered leaf blowers around the home, anywhere near the homes.
Right, we're still doing that.
Questions or comments? All right. So can I get a motion?
So moved.
1 year, I'm assuming it would be 1 year, same exemptions?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we make them come back every year.
Hopefully we start. Hopefully we start moving in a direction where the electric catches up,
And we don't
and
see
we can
anymore.
get to full electric on all of these. It
I
would be
hope so.
nice. It would be nice.
Like I told you last year, I'm all for it, but the technology's not there yet.
Yeah.
You know, it's so expensive. So, and they're a non-for-profit organization, so I try to work within their budget.
I think you had a motion. You want a second?
I move.
Do we have? Okay.
I'll second.
Okay, yep, there we go. Okay. Trustee Epstein?
Yes.
Trustee Heiser?
Yes.
Trustee Morlino?
Yes.
And Mayor Klein?
Yes. Thank you.
But I would like to challenge you guys for whoever's ready for a robotic lawnmower in their property.
Robotic.
Like a Zumba.
Isn't it electric robotic?
Yes.
I would like to see that.
Yeah.
So you're selling these, or what are you doing?
Yes, we install them, we maintain them, service them.
Wow.
I'd like to challenge any of you guys who's ready for that.
That means I went higher.
so pro for this, you know?
Is anybody, where is it operating now?
There's actually a house right on Betsy Brown Road.
Yes.
in Portchester,
I seen that.
Interesting.
right?
I seen it.
And what does it look like, out of
It's
curiosity?
just it's a lawnmower without a handle.
It's like a Roomba.
But it's
There's one on
outside.
Country Ridge Drive also.
Wow.
And you can have it programmed so it cuts every day. So this way you can keep the grass a little shorter and it goes back to its stocking station. They're autonomous. So
Unbelievable.
Is it safer than driverless cars?
Oh, they have an inflatable dummy in the car.
That's wild.
They have matchbacks underneath it.
It's just shut down if it gets clogged up? Is that what it does?
It'll shut down, yeah. And then it'll alert us that it needs to be serviced.
Wow.
So, and then every so often we have to change the blades on and such like that. So.
Interesting.
And the cost? Basic. That one on Bitsy Brown, how much was that set up?
Well, that's a general one that.
That's
not
it, that's
a
average.
Specific
Well,
property.
there's different ways we could set it up, whether you lease them from us monthly,
Mhm.
because you're still gonna need, like, to weed whack the edges.
Yeah,
you're still gonna
right.
need a little blowing of the walkways and such like that, but, so they can range depending on the size of the property, but you're looking around $2,000-3,000. Some of them we have to put an initial, like a dog fence wire
Yes.
around the property, so it learns that.
Mhm.
and-
2,000 or 3,000, what, per?
Year?
No, just for the setup, and then after that, it would be just like paying us for the monthly maintenance.
$35 a month or whatever.
Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna pay you.
Good try, Sal.
Yeah, that
Oh my God.
was nice. Thank you. We appreciate the information.
I'll bring my wife and 4 kids to your house.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Well,
good.
we appreciate the information. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
All right. Good luck.
That is hilarious. Thank you so much.
I love that. That's great.
All right. Resolution number 3, and again, this is so funny. It worked, then it doesn't work. Then it worked, then it doesn't work. Here's giving me problems. Resolution number 3, considering setting a public hearing for April 8th, 2025 for the fiscal year 25-26 tentative budget.
Now therefore be it resolved that a public hearing will be held by the Board of Trustees of the Village of Rybrook on Tuesday, April 8th, 2025 at 7:30 p.m., at which time any interested individuals will have the opportunity to provide written or oral comments regarding the proposed fiscal year 2025-26 tentative budget for the Village of Rybrook. And be it further resolved that notice of the hearing shall state the time, place, purpose of the hearing, and a copy is available in the office of the village clerk for inspection during regular office hours, and also be placed on the village website.
Thank you, Chris. Can I have a motion second, please?
So moved.
Second.
One comment. And this is just
Mm-hmm.
absolutely meaningless, but I mean, it wouldn't at that point just be the proposed budget, not the proposed tentative budget? It would be the proposed budget.
Well, it's still
Until you
still a
vote on
tentative
it.
budget. It's not going to be, yeah,
Right, it's
absolutely, at
not
that point.
final, it's the
Yeah, it's a
proposed,
public
though.
hearing on the tentative budget. Yep.
Okay.
Because remember, even though you're holding budget work sessions, no formal actions are taken until the board
Right.
is adopted on it. So, until it's the adoption
True,
night, which
but
will
we
be
would
after
have
that.
made the changes that we want to make.
No, but
So you're
remember,
objecting to the
the changes-
redundancy there?
Yes.
Okay.
but the changes that the
I fully
board
approve
are,
of those things.
the changes that the board are making at the work sessions, we're recording, but you're actually not acting on it until the second meeting in April.
Gotcha. And we have the public meeting on April 8th.
April 8th is also when we'll provide a more detailed overview of the budget. Later on in my report,
Right, and then
I have
we-
to give an overview of the budget, which is also required.
Right. And then we approve on the 24th.
Correct.
Or
You have
not-
until
not
the end of the month.
22nd, sorry.
Yeah, you have until the end of the month, has to be adopted by May 1st.
Right.
It's a budget meeting on the 8th?
No, the budget meetings are on the 31st.
The public hearing.
And
The
the 7th.
31st and the 7th.
That's what I have, so what's the 8th?
The 8th is our regular board meeting.
That's
and
the public
when we have
hearing.
the public hearing on the budget.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It was
So dress up that night.
Are you
And the numbers
insinuating
of people
something?
And the
All
second.
right, any other questions or comments? Again, this is just setting the public hearing.
Trustee Epstein?
Yes.
Trustee Heiser?
Yes.
Trustee Morlino,
Yes.
and Mayor Klein?
Yes, thank you. Resolution number 4. And what and I'm not going into it right now because we'll go into it in the public meeting sessions of how great we think that Chris and Trish and Lawrence and everyone, the department heads, everyone is involved who's been involved in this. It's just, I've been getting into the budget, and again, it's amazing the job you do. But
Thank you.
I'll save it for the 8th. All right. Resolution number 4, considering setting a public hearing on a proposed local law, amending Chapter 9 of the Village Code regarding notary requirements for application submissions.
Now therefore be resolved that the public hearing will be held by the Board of Trustees on Tuesday, April 8th on proposed local law amending Chapter 9 of the Code regarding notary requirements for application submissions.
Thank you, Chris. Can I have a motion and second, please?
So moved.
Second.
All right, Chris, you want to give a little
Sure.
background on this? Because I think this is a big change coming.
Absolutely, yeah. We've been
Which is
preparing
great.
for this for a long time, and this is our iCloud. This is our cloud permitting system. So this is a system that all applicants will be able to enroll on building permit applications or other land use applications online. So if you're a consultant or if you're an architect or a planner, you're able to make the submissions or all the applications online. So can a resident for building permits, and everything can be uploaded. So it's just an effort to make it more efficient, easier for people to apply, more cost efficient, and also to speed up some of the time as well. And all that gets tracked. We've already been doing inspections in the field online, and we're getting to the point now where you can apply online. All the documents are online. It's accessible in the field. Even when we're going out for permits and issuing COs, we're getting to the point now, we're very close to be able to just issuing it, like if there's a permit, issuing it, signing off on it, emailing it right to them while you're still in the field, instead of a very paper heavy process. So one of the difficulties, though, is our code requires notarization of the applications. So this local law is simply to take the notarization part out and leaves it basically just to the building inspector to implement any requirements that they feel is appropriate to make sure it's the owners. Because what we want to make sure is the property owner is aware. There is an e-signature process, and that's what people follow. And they also can require things like upload a copy of your driver's license, for instance, to make sure that that's something. It's not perfect, but it's more efficient, and I think it's more user-friendly for the users.
When would that be?
Do you
when
feel
we-
guilty
when would that-
about throwing all those notary publics out of work?
Well, my whole office is closing down just for the notary. Yeah, we do have 3 notaries in our office.
When's this going to be implemented?
It's literally weeks away.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
We're ready to have it all in place. They've been using parts of it. Now we're just implementing this piece.
Oh, good.
So how about the official building permit papers that people put in their windows? How is that going to?
They could print it and put it right up, or we could print it in the field and put it up. We'll have printers in our
But it's
cars.
usually on colored paper where it's very obvious.
We could do that. Just use colored paper and print it on that in the cars.
This is
The
really
printers
just
in
for
the car.
application process.
No, I know, but I'm
Yeah.
just thinking because we have to send it to them and then it's.
Yeah, now we don't have to drive back and print it
Right.
out and go back again.
Exactly.
No,
So
you
you
can
can
have
do
printers.
that.
There's printers in the field. You can do it right from a tablet right onto it, and then
Really?
it gets printed out and goes. You can email them a copy of the permits, or if there's a violation, you could have them sign off on it and just get it sent right to their house as well. So, yeah, we're all moving in that direction. A lot of municipalities are really starting to be a little bit more speedy, user-friendly, and more efficient.
Gotcha. All right, well, sounds good. Progress.
Yes. We've been working on this for a long time.
Other
Is there
questions?
anything that we should be thinking about where there's a negative to it? That's my only
No,
question.
you could still come in and do it in paper if you had to. But most of our code requires electronic submissions as well.
Yeah.
But you could pick up the paper and we can scan it. If it's very basic, we can do it and then we just scan it in the office if
So
we
this
have
is
to.
just the Rybrook version of the Department of Governmental Efficiency.
No comment.
No. We're not cutting
No
any
comment.
staff. And we don't give out grants. All right, and again, this is setting the public hearing. There will also be an opportunity to comment on the law itself and the changes that
The
are
local
being
law
made.
is simply removing the requirement for notarization.
Right.
Oh, I thought. I mean,
Hmm?
a lot more changes than that.
That's really the reason
Yeah.
that we're doing that.
Right.
We eliminate all the other conditions on the submissions.
Less people in the building, right? I mean, that's less people coming into the building.
Well, but also, I think it's also just it
Lot of
makes
back and
it. I
forth.
mean, right now, I mean, I remember when we changed it. I don't remember how many years ago, but I remember when we changed to requiring the digital submissions. So, and this is just
This is just-
furthering that process
Absolutely.
by allowing there to also be, like Chris was saying, that you can do digital in the field and but again, if we're only requiring digital, you can't necessarily
people are-
notarize something.
No, and people are coming in and they're bringing in all these files. Now we're going to be able to upload it all. So instead of having to bring in a disk or a USB or anything like that, they can literally just upload it.
Right.
However, for the person that cannot do that, they still have the
Ability.
ability to come into the office and have somebody
Yes.
help them.
Yes.
That is,
Absolutely.
I think, something that we should restate.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Good. That's a very good point for anyone listening. And during the public hearing, maybe we'll state that again. That this isn't necessarily a requirement to have it. There's certain for people can still come in and.
And for any of the professionals, particularly, we do require electronic submissions of the applications, particularly the larger ones. But if it's very basic, just a couple of papers, a little bit to scan, it's not a big
A lot of
deal.
municipalities do it. They're,
Yep.
they're getting to it. They're more and more doing it now.
Because even if anything it comes in paper, eventually it just gets scanned and put in electronically as well.
Yeah, good.
Okay, excellent.
All right. Any other questions or comments? Again, setting the public hearing.
Trustee Epstein?
Yes.
Trustee Heiser?
Yes.
Trustee Morlino,
Yes.
and Mayor Klein.
Yes, thank you. Resolution number 5, considering fiscal year 24-25 budget modifications for CHIPS, pave our pothole programs, winter recovery program funds, recreation expenditures, and generator repairs.
Okay.
A lot of acronyms here.
Yes,
I
a
know,
lot
and
of
none of them really
acronyms.
have much to do with any other.
That they're not.
I'll
they're not
explain what it is as we go along. So, now therefore be resolved that the following fiscal year, 2024-25 capital fund budget modifications are hereby approved to record reimbursement funds received from New York State, what they call the CHIPS program, which is the Consolidated Highway Improvement Program, which is funding to help us offset some of the costs for paving. Pave Our Potholes program and Winter Recovery program. So basically, this is revenue that we receive in terms of highway aid, and we have to we take that money in, and it has to be used for road resurfacing. So you're increasing your revenues in the amount of $55,448, and increasing your appropriations in the same amount. There's a net impact of 0. And be it further resolved, the road resurfacing capital project be restated, and basically is increasing it by that same amount so that we now have those funds going to a particular capital project. And be it further resolved that the following capital projects with no remaining balance are closed and removed from the capital project length schedule. And that's the stationary license plate reader and the sanitary sewer relining and manhole rehab project. And what that does is make sure that the auditors want to see closed projects when all the funding is expended. So they want to see a clean capital project length schedule for projects. They like to see that the projects are closed and taken action by the board when that happens. And then the following fiscal year 2024 general fund budget transfers be approved. And these are various transfers to move over to make sure that funds are allocated, because we're getting closer to the end of the year. We want to make sure that there's positive balances in accounts. And be it further resolved that the following fiscal year general fund modifications are approved, and that's for increase in parks and recreation revenue, and the same in terms of appropriations. So in other words, we received probably more enrollment, so that brings in more revenue, and then we had more costs as a result, so the revenue and the appropriations balance. And I believe there's also one in here for the for Michael's, right? Where is it? Oh, within that is also the the project for the generator. It's within the transfers. So included within that list of transfers is the generator project. We do need about 6,000, Michael, in repairs of the generator at AJP. It's currently not working. It needs a new controller. And so we need about $6,000 to repair the generator.
Got it. So that's that contingency.
That's included in
to
there.
the-
Yeah, that's the transfer from
repairs, right?
contingency.
6,600. All right.
Correct. The 6,600.
All right. Thank you, Chris. Can I have a motion and second, please?
So moved.
Second.
Again, this is why we come back with clean audits every year, because we've got people looking at these details and doing this. The one I wish we hadn't had to do was the from sewer account to snow removal.
Yeah, me too.
It was, there was quite a bit, and it always seemed to fall on a Saturday or Sunday night.
A lot of
this winter.
weekends with the snow and ice.
Sunday night.
We had some really cold weekends and cold winter weather.
Yeah, so it's hard to think about that right now as things are starting to warm up and thaw, but we did have.
What are the senior services?
That's great. Where's that one? I gotta find that one. Yeah, it's up there, I guess.
Or at the very end? I'm just,
Yeah,
inquiring minds would like to know
would like to know.
what the senior services are.
Senior service.
There you go.
I remember that.
We'll make that correction.
Yes.
All right, any questions or comments?
Trustee Epstein?
Yes.
Trustee Heiser?
Yes.
Trustee Morlino?
Yes.
And Mayor Klein?
Yes, thank you. Resolution number 6, considering approval of the minutes for the meeting held on December 10th, 2024.
Okay, just give me 1 sec to catch up. Just making notes. Okay, now therefore be resolved that the Village of Rybrook Board of Trustees approves the minutes for the meeting held on December 10th, 2024.
Thank you, Chris. Can I have a motion second, please?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. It seems like we're getting closer to the time. We keep getting closer and
We
closer.
are. We're narrowing that gap.
We're narrowing.
We're catching
seemingly
up.
Narrowing the gap. I remember when it was during. If you remember when we were meeting virtually, at the onset of COVID, it would take about 9 months to a year.
It's all transcripts. Yeah,
Because
yeah.
it was full transcript. Yeah, that was
was tough.
Something else. All right, we have one add-on resolution. Resolution number 7, considering an agreement with Westchester County for DARE Youth Officer Program reimbursement.
Whereas Westchester County encourages municipalities to offer a DARE Youth Officer Program, and whereas Rybrook has a DARE Youth Officer Program, and whereas the county has prepared an agreement that would provide reimbursement for expenses related to that program up to $4,773. Now therefore be resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby approves an agreement with the county for reimbursement for the DARE Youth Officer Program subject to modification by council. Be it further resolved, the mayor and administrator are authorized to execute all documents necessary to accomplish the purposes of this resolution.
Thank you, Chris. Can I have a motion and second, please?
Motion.
Second.
Chief, I may ask you to come up for a minute. Thank you. Just as a quick question, because I know, if I remember correctly, I think this year the DARE program wasn't as robust. We did a
It was a
much more minimal.
short version.
Yeah, it was a shortened version because really, when we were looking at this, back in the summer, even into the fall, at the beginning of the school year, we were very short-staffed in the department. Very short-staffed, and I think we've been trying to rehire back. I know there's still been a lot of movement, so we're still. When do you think we may be able to get back up to full program?
Hoping January of 26.
Okay,
Be the full program.
to be back to
10
full
weeks,
program. All right. That would be great. Yeah, no, and hopefully, we're doing what we can here to hire officers, move things along.
Thank you.
And we fully understand it. It's a shame that certain students weren't able to participate in the full program, but we certainly understand the limitations of the, that that may have to fall by the wayside a little bit to make sure that, our streets are safe, and we're able to do the job that the police force is tasked with. So, and that was really all I was curious about when we think we may be able to resume them. That's great
Yeah,
news.
everything looks to be on schedule for January next year.
Great. And will it be a new officer doing that? Is same officer?
Excuse
You don't have to give specifics of names or anything.
I believe it's going to be the same person that was doing it last year.
Okay. All right, great. Yeah. Any other questions or comments?
Nope.
It's a great program.
Yeah,
And hopefully by that point, it'll be updated again.
right.
So, DARE takes their time updating the actual syllabuses, so.
Right, and there's been a lot that's changed in even in the last 5-10 years.
Correct.
Even the last 2 years. But. Okay. All right, thank you.
No, thank you.
Any other questions or comments from the board?
Trustee Epstein?
Yes.
Trustee Heiser?
Yes.
Trustee Morlino,
Yes.
and Mayor Klein.
Yes, thank you. Administrator's report.
Okay, just have next meeting, as we said, we're going to have a much more extensive overview of the budget, much more detailed. But village law also requires we introduce the budget at a public meeting. So that's what tonight is. It's a brief, high-level summary that we always provide at this particular meeting. The budget was filed, the tentative budget was filed last Thursday, March 20th, which is what it's required to do by village law, by March 20th. And now the tentative budget, which is prepared by staff and Trish and myself as budget officer, now we submit it. The administrator files it with the clerk, which is always interesting. And then now it's the village board's budget.
Official ceremony.
Yeah, one stamp to the other. This is the third year in a row that we've had a digital budget book, and we're very proud of that. We think it's pretty progressive for for our community of our size. We kind of led the way in Westchester with a few other communities going to a digital budget book. It's much more interactive. Residents can look up information a lot easier. It's much better than a kind of a flat PDF that you just put up on a website with a lot of spreadsheets. So it's meant to provide more information, provide more transparency to the public, and we hope that it does that. Budget sessions have been scheduled to meet with for the board to meet with the various departments. We have a meeting. First meeting is on Monday, March 31st, and then there'll be another one on on April 7th, the following Monday, at 6 p.m. And so those are right here in this room in Village Hall. The public's welcome to attend. And it's a good time to kind of hear from the departments, hear from myself and the treasurer, and for us so we can work with the board and answer any questions they have, providing any additional information. The budget hearing, as the board acted on tonight, is scheduled for April 8th, and the board has to adopt the budget by May 1st, or the tentative budget becomes the budget. So you have to take an action before May 1st. The tentative budget overview, we always start with our 4 big picture goals, which is keep the taxes as low as possible, provide quality services, always reinvest in our infrastructure, and maintain fiscal stability. We always kind of live by those parameters whenever we're preparing the budget. Tax levy is about $20 million, and that's a 3.05% increase. That is tax cap compliant. And we are currently $6,133 below the tax cap. We could have gone up to 3.08 and still been below the cap. We're proud to say that's the 13th time in 14 years that the cap's been in existence that we've been below the cap. And if it ends up being that to that point, again, that's all years but one that would be below the cap. Total operating budget is not including capital is about $26.7 million. And that there's another $1.6 million in capital support, so that brings the total budget to $28.3. Good news for Rybrook, the total assessed values for the village are going up, so it's up about 3.9% overall, about $137 million in additional value from the last taxable assessed value. Homestead, which is more the 1 and 2 family homes, think of it as residential, and the non-homestead, which is more larger family homes or multifamily homes or commercial properties, they're both up. So whether it's residential or commercial, they're up. The residential properties or the homestead properties are up about $125 million, and the non-homestead property values are up about $12 million. So that's a good thing for Rybrook. It's showing that there's It's a good investment to move into Rybrook or to open businesses in Rybrook. The values are going up. It's a good thing. It's a stable place. It's not one that has those types of concerns. Total full-time positions in the village remains the same at 76 employees. We do have one new part-time position in the fire department to provide some additional supervision. It's heavy on capital, as we've talked about in the past. We always reinvest in capital to a large extent so we don't get caught into that trap. The largest is road resurfacing, which is actually $550,000. We have a street sweeper at $425,000, but we got a very large grant to offset that expense. So that's good news. And then sewer work, we have about $300,000 allocated for that as well. The average home in Rybrook is now $1,037,182 as an assessed value. That's the average home overall. And that residence would pay $5,268 per year in village taxes. Positives about the budget, again, a very strong fund balance that we have. It's about 23.5% of our overall expenses. And we continue to reinvest in our infrastructure, which we said. We remain fiscally sound. We're a AA1 bond rating, AA2. And then we have a 0 on our last New York State fiscal stress monitoring system. 45 becomes a concern. We have a 0. We have a lean, hardworking staff. We always say small but mighty. Sales tax is still very strong, and certainly the county additional 1% that was provided a few years ago has helped us on that. We're now going to have the school resource officer for a full year. Last year was a partial year. And again, we have that new position in the fire department. Concerns? We still have a differential between the homestead and non-homestead tax rate. So the non-homestead tax rate is still, considerably higher than the homestead rates. You hope that will eventually blend into one rate, but it's definitely higher for the commercial properties. And a lot of that is the impact that occurred, with the loss of our 2 hotels. So we've kind of had that impact for a number of years. Interest rates and inflation are still, higher than it was, and those lead to higher costs. Mortgage taxes, though, are considerably down. There's less inventory out there. You're less people buying homes, but there's also, with the higher rates, there's less people refinancing. So mortgage tax is significantly lower than it used to be. Health insurance and retirement are still a big part of our budget. For the retirement side of it, particularly, health insurance didn't go up too much this year, but retirement is again gone up. So for every dollar, the employees' retirement system is about 19.5 cents for every dollar is spent on retirement, and that includes any overtime. And on the police and fire, it's now 36.7 cents on the dollar. So that's, again, that really is difficult. Those are really difficult costs for us to continue to absorb. Commercial property development looks promising in the village, but it still has yet to be, it's not progressed to the point where it's revenue producing. So, any commercial development that's in the hopper. 900 King Street we know has been approved. There's future plans that we hope will continue up at Doral, but, that's up in the air a bit, but they're still working on it. But again, those revenues we won't see for a while. So as a result, some of our building department revenues are still, at a more flattening stage. Staff and departments, myself, Trish, everyone really looks forward to working with the board at our work sessions and continuing to develop a budget that we hope the residents would be proud of.
Thank you.
Great, thank you, Chris.
Jason, would you like to make your speech about the tax cap again?
That's quite all right. I think
Cut and paste.
It's been weeks since we've heard it.
No, I'm going to say okay.
I'll only subject you to that once a year.
And I do have a few items I want to raise.
All right, so some other administrators' report.
Okay, a couple of quick items. So, opening day in baseball is this Thursday. So we have a kind of one of our quick hit events. So we have free hot dogs and a fast pitch radar machine for anybody that wants to see how fast they could throw. That's going to be from 5 to 6:30 this Thursday at Pine Ridge Park. It's always a lot of fun.
It's supposed to be a beautiful day on Thursday.
Sign us up.
75 degrees.
Do we
Sign
have
us
enough
up.
hot dogs?
We will have enough hot dogs. That one year we did. Last year we were good.
It's going to be a 75-degree day. It's going to be a big turnout.
Again, the
How's our
first
baseball
year we
card inventory?
the joke is the first year we tried this, we were out of hot dogs in like 10 or 15 minutes.
Oh,
It was we didn't expect the turnout. It was terrible day, rainy. It was, not even a great day. It was cold, and people came out. So we found out that people like coming to this event. So that's a good thing. We changed it and made sure we had enough last year. We'll have enough this year. But it's a lot of fun, and it's a quick little event, nice way to celebrate kind of the beginning of spring for us in a lot of ways.
How do they announce it?
Huh? Yeah, and we'll also be giving out the donated baseball cards that we had in the past. Little League Parade is also coming up. That's April 5th at 12:30 p.m. It starts over at the Ridge Street School and then goes over to Pine Ridge Park. This year, we're going to have a former Major League Baseball player, Michael Alt. Michael Alt will be there and throwing out the first pitch. He was a Major League Baseball player from like 2012 to 2015. Played for 3 different teams, I believe, and
White Sox, the Cubs.
and he was provided, and he was provided through one of our contractors,
I
so
read
he's
what
at
he
no
wrote
cost to
today.
the village. So thank you. Great news for Rybrook, our rec basketball teams. Yesterday, our 6th grade boys won the county center championship, our rec team, and tonight the 6th grade girls won the championship. So
That's amazing.
great job, yeah.
I think we should have them here.
So just that, huh?
I think we should have them
I
here.
think we should as well. Yeah, so it's very exciting. That the girls just won tonight.
That's amazing.
And so which is wonderful. And we talked about lastly. I just want to mention about the Con Ed joint venture we're going through. We're trying to get all the communities to join together and in the Con Ed rate case, and have Joel Dichter representing all of us, and we've had a lot of success. We currently have 18 municipalities that have already approved resolutions. Remember, we needed a minimum of 20. We have 18 that have already passed resolutions. We have another 10 that have said they will be passing it at their next meeting. Some communities have work sessions, they agree, and then they put it on the next agenda. So you have another 10. So it looks like we'll have at least 28. And then there's another 5 that are having it on agendas for consideration. So that really will drive down everybody's cost because the total doesn't change, it just gets divided up. So every additional community over 20, it's a lesser cost. So it was at 20, it was going to be $5,000 a community, and the $100,000 cost gets distributed now over a greater number of municipalities, which helps everybody out, and everybody's been extremely excited about it. I think only one community in the county has said no so far, that they weren't going to. So
Which one? Just
I'm not saying.
We don't want to publicly.
There's nothing wrong with shaming people.
But it's been a really people have been very excited. It's really a nice thing to see is all the communities getting together and working for a common goal to try to say we all have an issue on this. Let's get together and be a party to the Con Ed rate case. And by being a party, we're going to be able to have a say in the discussions, have consultants that will be looking at their data and their information, which has already been selected. They have that Joel's working with. And then we'll be part of any settlement discussions, which we anticipate will happen probably impact rates for the next 3 years. So really gets us a seat at the table.
Excellent job.
Great,
Thank
great.
you.
Great work, Chris.
No, we really appreciate the work that you've done on that, Chris. And it really, puts us in the lead on this. And I mean, and it's a great way for the municipalities to band together to try and argue down these rates. I mean, we know how much this affects all of our residents through the entire Con Ed area. And for Westchester's residents and municipalities to have not had a seat at the table last time was a disservice.
It was a disgrace
And disgusting.
and disgusting.
Anything else with a dis?
We were just.
Everyone has an equal say. Everyone's going to get regular updates. We're going to have written updates
Right.
and Zoom updates for
Very
municipalities. And thanks to the village board, too, for allowing us to do the coordination of making sure all that happens.
Yeah, and again, this isn't Rybrook's initiative. This is an initiative for any municipality that wanted to participate within the Con Ed service district. I mean, obviously, ones outside of this Con Ed service district can also take part in this, but it won't be to any benefit of their
We have
residents.
we have
but-
some that have both, and even where there's some that have just a few, they want to get involved as well.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's really great. And we're also happy to see the county getting involved as well. We feel that it's still important to have this municipal effort to do this. Any other questions or comments from the board?
Just in case I forget in 2 weeks, let me say now that I really appreciate all the effort that the department heads put in to giving us just a really tight budget. I mean, I know Chris and Trish really work at the death, but the department heads, you guys are great.
And it really is a partnership. You know, when we ran into some places, particularly this year, we had to go back to the departments and keep going back to the departments and what else can we do? Where can we get additional revenues? Where can we push some of the expenditures and think out of the box in areas? So I really do. I agree with what Trustee Heiser said. It really is. It's a partnership from the village board, the department heads, everybody really working closely together for the same purpose.
Yeah, and again, you know, as Chris mentioned, hopefully we see some movement on some of the commercial developments within the village that will certainly help this out. And, you know, we would love it if we had our hotels back.
We love hotel tax again.
We would love to have that revenue back again. And one hotel is still standing. We don't know what will happen with it. You know, the other, you know, hopefully it can come back to some use as a hotel, because that's great revenue for us as well. And also, as Chris said, you know, we thank you know, the county for instituting the sales tax, or increasing the sales tax. When we were in lean times, it really helped us as well. So
Yes.
and I'll say it over and over during the budget hearings about the department heads and everything. And our budget meetings are public meetings. So if anyone's listening and wants to attend, you're certainly more than welcome. Those are coming up on the next 2 Mondays, March 31st and 7th at 6 p.m. And then to be followed by the public hearing, which we set earlier today on April 8th. Any questions or comments from the public? See,
Sure.
You're still the public.
and I would say, though, I will point out that we do have someone sitting in the back. Don Crum was elected, and congratulations on your election.
Are we going to continue to make him sit in the back?
Right, we do have to assign seats. Maybe, you know, we're very excited to have you join us up here, starting at the next meeting, and so we will have a restructuring of our board this coming meeting. And again, we'll have an opportunity on the 8th to thank Trustee Fisher for all of her hard work and dedication, not just on this board, but on other boards as well, and the time that she has spent, you know, giving to the community. So we look forward to, you know, things changing a little bit up here, and new input, new ideas, and you know, and of course towards the budget session. So the next special meetings I mentioned were March 31st and April 7th. The next regular meeting of the Board of Trustees will be April 8th, 2025. Thank you and have a good night. There is one thing I want to discuss real quick that I meant to bring up in the executive session that I forgot. That does